Living at extreme altitudes and facing conditions that would make most people want to curl up with a blanket and a cup of tea, Tibetans have managed to defy aging with simple and natural movements. They do all this without gyms, supplements, or expensive equipment that looks like it belongs on a spaceship. While most people rely on modern gadgets, these men and women preserve their vitality and balance even after 40 years of age with techniques passed down from generation to generation. The most impressive thing is that this ability comes from some exercises that activate deep muscles, strengthen joints, and rejuvenate the body and mind. That's why today you will see 6 Tibetan exercises that nobody does to build incredible strength and endurance. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, how long have you been training? Exercise 1. Staff pose. The staff pose, or Dandasana as it is traditionally called, seems simple at first glance. But make no mistake, this is the foundation of core strength that Tibetans use to maintain their vitality for decades. This exercise intensely works your core, strengthening all the deep abdominal muscles, the spinal erectors, and even the pelvic floor muscles, the ones that keep you from peeing your pants when you laugh too hard. But what makes the staff pose truly special is how it simultaneously activates the quadriceps, hamstrings, and lower back muscles. It's a combination that Tibetan monks discovered is essential for longevity and for a spine that doesn't feel like a stack of loose bricks. To execute it correctly, start sitting on the floor with your legs extended in front of you, together actively. Press your heels away from your body while pointing your toes upward, the crucial part that many get wrong. Keep your spine perfectly erect, as if a wire were pulling the top of your head toward the sky now. Press your hands against the floor beside your hips, with your fingers pointing forward. This position is not passive. You must actively push the floor, engage your core, and lift your chest. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel a slight tremor in your deep abdominal muscles and a stretching sensation in the back of your legs, combined with activation in your quads. Your breathing should flow naturally without restrictions. The most common mistake is letting the spine collapse or rounding the shoulders, making you look like a human shrimp. Remember, Tibetan monks maintain this posture for long periods precisely because they master perfect alignment. Another frequent error is not actively engaging the leg muscles. They shouldn't be relaxed, but rather in constant isometric work. For beginners, I recommend maintaining the position for 30 seconds, gradually progressing to 2 minutes. Tibetan masters, after years of practice, can sustain it for up to 10 minutes. But don't rush. Respect your body's rhythm. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Exercise 2. Reverse bridge. In the mountainous regions of Tibet, where the terrain demands constant strength and agility, the reverse bridge has been practiced for centuries as a way to develop posterior body endurance, an area often neglected in modern training. This extraordinary exercise is like a secret kept by monks, who, even at an advanced age, maintain impeccable posture and surprising strength in their posterior chain. The reverse bridge intensely works your posterior deltoids, triceps, spinal, erectors, glutes, and hamstrings in a single movement sequence. It's a complete exercise that strengthens the entire back of the body while opening the chest and shoulders. It's the perfect combination to counter the effects of the sedentary life that has us all glued to our screens like zombies. Tibetans especially value this movement for its energizing effect and its ability to reverse the curved posture that we naturally develop with age. To execute correctly, start in the same staff pose position, sitting with legs extended in front and hands on the floor beside your hips, but with your fingers pointing backward toward your feet. This difference in hand position is crucial. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, press your hands and feet against the floor, raising your hips until your body forms a diagonal line from your heels to your shoulders. Your chest should be open and facing upward, with your chin slightly tucked to protect your cervical spine. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel a strong and balanced activation in your glutes and the back of your shoulders while your chest expands with each breath. The most common mistake is letting your hips drop, losing the beautiful diagonal alignment of your body. Another common misconception is overloading the wrists. Tibetans distribute weight evenly between their hands and feet, protecting their joints. Also avoid hyperextending your neck by throwing your head back. This is not a headbanging session. For effective practice, Maintain the position for 20 to 30 seconds initially, progressing to 1 full minute. Perform 3 sets with 30 seconds of rest between them. Tibetan monks, with their ancestral wisdom, recommend practicing this movement when the sun rises, symbolizing the elevation of vital energy through the body. Exercise 3. Camel Pose Flow. On the vast plains of the Tibetan Plateau, nomads carefully observe camels and their incredible endurance. Inspired by these animals, who are adapted to extreme conditions and who probably have a lot to complain about, they developed the Camel Pose Flow. This is not the typical passive stretch you see in yoga classes, but rather an active sequence that Tibetan monks use to strengthen the body while drastically increasing their flexibility. This exercise is exceptional for opening the entire anterior chain of the body, from the quadriceps muscles to the hip flexors, abdominals, and pectorals. Simultaneously, it strengthens the spinal erectors, glutes, and deep core muscles. Tibetans especially value this movement because it directly combats the protective posture that we naturally assume as we age, keeping the chest open and the spine flexible even at the most advanced ages. To execute correctly, start kneeling on the floor. With your knees aligned with your hips and your feet extended behind you, place your hands on your lower back as initial support. Breathe deeply, and as you exhale, begin to tilt your body backward, pushing your hips forward while opening your chest toward the sky. For the complete version, extend one hand at a time to reach your heels, creating a deep and controlled curvature in your spine. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel a deep stretch in the front of your thighs and torso, combined with a sensation of openness in your chest and shoulders. The most common mistake is compressing the lumbar region, throwing all the weight backward without control. Tibetans teach to distribute the curvature evenly throughout the spine. Another frequent misconception is letting the head fall completely backward, which is a great way to give yourself a neck ache. Keep your neck in natural alignment or slightly extended, but never in hyperextension. Try to start with 3 sets of 30 seconds in the position, gradually progressing to 1 full minute. Between each set, take a pause in a neutral position for 30 to 60 seconds. A unique variation is to add a dynamic element. After mastering the static posture, begin to make slow and controlled transitions between the initial position and the complete posture, creating a flow that massages the internal organs and revitalizes the spine. Before we continue to exercise 4, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with long-term health in the world of bodybuilding. Exercise 4. Dog and Cobra. This is not just an exercise. It's a practice that Tibetan monks use to keep the spine healthy and the body agile even when time begins to take its toll. And let's be honest, time is a bit of a jerk. This combination of movements is simply revolutionary for simultaneously strengthening multiple muscle groups: deltoids, triceps, spinal erectors, deep core, glutes, and calves. But the true power of this sequence lies in how it works the body in different planes, creating multidirectional strength that Tibetans recognize as essential for physical longevity. Additionally, the transition between postures massages the internal organs and stimulates the lymphatic system. To execute with precision, start on all fours with your hands aligned under your shoulders and knees under your hips. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, raise your hips toward the sky, extending your legs and creating an inverted V with your body. This is the dog posture. Press your hands firmly against the ground. Your heels don't need to touch the floor. The important thing is to keep the spine elongated and the shoulders away from the ears. Now comes the transition that makes all the difference. Inhale and lower your body in a straight line until you are in a high plank position. Without touching your body to the floor, slide your chest forward and upward, arching your spine and creating the Cobra posture with your legs extended on the floor. The Tibetan secret is in the way you use your breath to guide the movement. In the dog position, you should feel a stretch in your calves and hamstrings combined with core engagement. In the Cobra, the sensation will be of chest opening and back strengthening without compression in the lumbar region. The most common mistake is rounding the shoulders and collapsing the chest in the dog position, or excessively compressing the lower back in the Cobra, which can feel like a tiny person is standing on your spine. Tibetans emphasize the neutral alignment of the spine in the dog and the uniform distribution of the curve in the Cobra. It's also common to see people sinking between the shoulder blades during the transition. Always maintain muscular engagement, as the monks do even after hours of meditation. For transformative results, perform 8 to 12 complete repetitions of this flow, maintaining each posture for 2 to 3 complete breaths. Do 3 sets with brief rest between them. Exercise 5. Vertical leg raise. The monks, who often need to walk for hours on steep terrain, discovered that this seemingly simple movement is capable of building such deep abdominal and lumbar strength that it prevents injuries even in the most challenging conditions. This exercise is exceptionally effective for strengthening the entire abdominal complex, from the more superficial rectus abdominis to the deep transverse and oblique muscles. But what makes it truly unique is how it also simultaneously engages the hip flexors, spinal erectors, and even the pelvic floor muscles. Tibetans particularly value this movement because it strengthens what they call the vital center, the region of the body responsible for distributing energy throughout the organism. To execute it correctly, lie on your back on a flat surface with your arms extended beside your body, palms facing down. Press your hands lightly against the floor to stabilize your upper body. The key to the Tibetan technique is in the initial breath. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, engage your core as if pulling your belly button toward your spine. Maintaining this engagement, slowly raise both legs together until they form a 90-degree angle with the floor. The secret is to keep the lumbar region pressed against the floor throughout the entire movement. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel a deep and controlled activation in the abdominal muscles without excessive tension in the neck or shoulders. The most common mistake is arching the back, moving the lumbar region away from the floor. This not only reduces the effectiveness of the exercise, but it can also overload the spine, which is something you definitely want to avoid. Another frequent misconception is raising the legs using mainly the hip flexors instead of the abdominals. Tibetans teach to always initiate the movement from the core, using the flexors only as auxiliaries. Also, avoid holding your breath, as this contradicts the Tibetan principle of continuous energy flow. For significant results, start with 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, keeping the legs elevated for 2 to 3 seconds at the top of the movement. As you progress, you can increase to 15 to 20 repetitions per set. Tibetan masters with their ancestral wisdom suggest an advanced variation, keeping the legs elevated and performing small circular movements, further stimulating the deep muscles, and massaging the internal organs, a technique they believe promotes longevity. Exercise 6. Horse stance. The horse stance, or ma bao as it is traditionally called, is not just a static squat. It's a practice that Tibetan warriors use to develop legendary leg endurance, allowing them to travel great distances on foot when necessary, even after decades of life at extreme altitudes. This exercise is absolutely revolutionary for simultaneously strengthening the quadriceps, glutes, adductors, and hamstrings. But what makes it truly exceptional is how it also deeply engages the core and works on ankle and knee stability, a combination that Tibetans discovered is essential for maintaining mobility and strength even at an advanced age. Unlike conventional squats, the horse stance creates constant tension in the muscles, developing not only strength, but an unusual endurance to execute it with precision. Start standing with your feet positioned at a distance slightly wider than shoulder width and slightly turned outward. Now, bend your knees and lower your hips as if you were going to sit in an invisible chair until your thighs are almost parallel to the floor. The key to the Tibetan technique is in the weight distribution. Press the outer edges of your feet against the floor while keeping your knees aligned with your toes, neither collapsing inward nor opening excessively outward. Keep your chest lifted and your spine in a neutral position. You'll know you're doing it right when you feel intense and balanced work in both legs, with the quadriceps in constant contraction, but without sharp pain in the knees. The most common mistake is tilting the trunk excessively forward, overloading the lumbar region. The trunk should be erect as if you were sitting on a real horse. Another frequent misconception is raising the heels off the floor. Keep your feet completely supported to develop true strength in the quadriceps and stability in the ankles. Also, avoid tensing the shoulders or holding your breath. Maintain deep and rhythmic breathing. For transformative results, Start by maintaining the position for 30 seconds, gradually progressing to 2 full minutes. Perform 3 sets with 30 to 45 seconds of rest between them. Tibetan masters, with their ancestral wisdom, recommend daily practice, progressively increasing the holding time instead of adding external weight. They discovered that the endurance developed through holding time is more functional for real-life activities and preserves the joints for much longer if you like this, and also want to discover an isometric posture very common in some Asian communities. To heal years of neglect with your own body, regardless of your current age, we have a video appearing right now on the screen explaining how you can execute it and its benefits. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.